something wild just happened in the electric vehicle world. And if you've been following the Aptera story as closely as I have, you already know the last few weeks have been nothing short of a roller coaster. We're talking stock market chaos, a major funding deal finally going live, assembly lines starting to come together, and a company that has been quietly grinding away finally starting to show the world that this thing is actually real. So buckle up, because there is a lot to unpack, and I want to make sure you walk away from this with a full picture of where things stand right now, and why, despite everything, I am more excited about this vehicle than I have ever been. Let's start with the stock, because I know that's the first thing most of you want to talk about. Aptera is now officially publicly traded through their direct listing, and if you watched my last video, you already heard me say that I didn't think day one was going to be pretty. And honestly, I wasn't wrong. The opening was volatile in a way that made a lot of people nervous. We're talking about a stock that started around $23 a share, then dropped all the way down to $3, and then bounced back up to around $10. For anyone watching that in real time, it probably looked terrifying, and I understand why people were scared. A lot of investors have had their money locked up in this company for years, longer than they originally expected, because deliveries kept getting pushed back. When the stock finally opened and people had a chance to cash out, you better believe some of them did. That selling pressure was real, and it showed up immediately on the charts. But here's the part that actually matters, and the part that I think got lost in all the noise. There were a lot of rumors floating around that the co-founders, the people actually running this company, were the ones dumping their shares. And I want to be really clear about this because it's important. Thanks to some solid digging done by members of the Aptera owners community, specifically by looking at what forms have and haven't been filed with the SEC, we can say with confidence that the co-founders have not been cashing out. They're still holding, and that is a big deal. When the people building the company still believe in it enough to keep their own money in it, that tells you something about where they think this is going. That's not nothing. That actually means a lot.
Now, let's talk about the ELOC deal, because this was the other major piece of news that dropped, and it's one that I think deserves more attention than it's getting. Aptera announced that their equity line of credit agreement with New Circle Capital is now officially in effect. This is a $75 million deal, and what it means in plain English is that Aptera now has access to a structured way of raising capital by drawing from that line over time. They can pull funds as they need them, rather than trying to secure one massive lump sum investment all at once. When they made this announcement, the stock dipped a little, and I think that reaction makes sense, because the word dilution tends to make investors nervous. But here's my honest take on it. Given where things stand right now, this is probably the smartest move they can make. We've all had to accept by now that there isn't going to be some mystery billionaire who shows up and writes a single check to fund everything. That's just not the reality of where we are. So having a credible, structured funding mechanism in place is genuinely good news for the long-term health of this company, even if it stings a little in the short term for shareholders. When you're doing low-volume prototype builds, having a third party handle your body and carbon work is totally fine. You're not moving massive quantities, so the inefficiency of it doesn't kill you. But the moment you start trying to scale up, you run into a very specific problem with shipping. You simply cannot stack completed body panels and carbon assemblies efficiently into a shipping container. There's too much wasted space, too much handling, too much exposure to damage, too much cost per unit. But when you shift to shipping the components and doing the final assembly yourself at your own facility, suddenly everything changes. You can pack those components tightly and efficiently, dramatically lower your logistics costs, and keep quality control under your own roof.
When stating this fat breakthrough, some key points are measured intentionally. The other points are read at a steady, controlled pace. The tone is calm but energized, with a deep, warm, and reassuring voice. Emphasis is made on numbers, timings, reps, calories, minutes, heart rate zones, or scientific facts. The important insights have a slight dramatic buildup, before delivering them clearly and decisively. Avoid over-motivational cliches. The excitement feels earned, like one fitness enthusiast explaining what actually works to another. The end section is confident and motivating, leaving the listener informed, capable, and ready to act. That is a meaningful operational improvement, and it's exactly the kind of move a company needs to make when it's getting serious about production at scale. And here's the other thing worth noting. They already paid for the hard tooling in Italy that makes these body and carbon parts, so bringing that work to Carlsbad doesn't necessarily require a massive new investment. The tooling is done, the process is proven. It's really more about setting up the workflow in the new space and training the team, which from what they've posted is already happening. My read on this is that whatever capital they raise through the ELOC program is going to be directed toward other parts of the production ramp, not toward this onshoring effort, which means their money is being stretched further than it might look from the outside, and that's a good sign.
When stating validation builds themselves, because this is where things get genuinely exciting from a car person's perspective. According to the photos Aptera has shared, they currently have somewhere around 10 to 11 banks ready to be assembled. And unlike the earlier prototype builds, which were mostly hand-built one at a time by individual craftspeople, these validation builds are following an actual assembly line approach. That distinction matters more than it might seem. When you handcraft vehicles one at a time, you're really just making art. You're proving that the concept works. But when you start running an assembly line, even a small one, you start learning entirely different lessons. You find out where the bottlenecks are. You find out which parts take longer to install than expected. You discover the little moments where the sequence needs to be reordered to save time. Those are the lessons that actually prepare you for volume production. And Aptera is now collecting those lessons in real time.
When stating numbers, timings, reps, calories, minutes, heart rate zones, or scientific facts, emphasize them with measured enthusiasm and confidence. Add a slight dramatic build-up before critical insights, strategies, or results, then deliver them clearly and decisively. Keep the voice deep, warm, and reassuring, projecting authority and experience without sounding aggressive. Avoid shouting or over-motivational cliches. The excitement should feel earned, like one fitness enthusiast explaining what actually works to another. End key sections with a confident, motivating close, leaving the listener feeling informed, capable, and ready to act. On top of that, they've confirmed that Costamp, their chassis supplier, is already shipping validation chassis to the Carlsbad facility. So the pieces are coming together from multiple directions simultaneously. What this all points to is that within a reasonable time frame, Aptera should have around a dozen vehicles that represent something genuinely new in their development story. These won't be hand-built prototypes. These will be production-weight vehicles with production-grade battery packs, production bodies, and real aerodynamics. And once those exist, we can finally get actual hard data on efficiency, on range, on how many miles of solar charging you realistically collect in a day. That data is what everyone has been waiting for, and it's now closer than it has ever been. When stating numbers, timings, reps, calories, minutes, heart rate zones, or scientific facts, emphasize them with measured enthusiasm and confidence. Add a slight dramatic build-up before critical insights, strategies, or results, then deliver them clearly and decisively. Keep the voice deep, warm, and reassuring, projecting authority and experience without sounding aggressive. Avoid shouting or over-motivational cliches. The excitement should feel earned, like one fitness enthusiast explaining what actually works to another. End key sections with a confident, motivating close, leaving the listener feeling informed, capable, and ready to act. And look, since we're on the subject of real-world numbers, I want to say something here that I've been thinking about for a while, because I think it matters for how we all approach the next chapter of this story. Aptera has made some bold claims about their efficiency and range, things like 10 miles per kilowatt hour,
and 40 miles of free solar range per day. Those are extraordinary numbers, and I want to be upfront with you. I don't know if they're going to hit every single one of those benchmarks when EPA testing actually happens. A lot has changed since those numbers were first put out there back in 2020. The hub motors are gone, the belly pan cooling system they originally designed around is no longer part of the vehicle. The EPA's range testing methodology has gotten stricter over the years, and the design itself has evolved in ways that affect real-world performance. So there's a genuine possibility that the final certified numbers come in lower than the original projections.
When stating numbers, timings, reps, calories, minutes, heart rate zones, or scientific facts, emphasize them with measured enthusiasm and confidence. Add a slight dramatic buildup before critical insights, strategies, or results. Then deliver them clearly and decisively. Keep the voice deep, warm, and reassuring, projecting authority and experience without sounding aggressive. Avoid shouting or over-motivational cliches. The excitement should feel earned, like one fitness enthusiast explaining what actually works to another. End key sections with a confident, motivating close, leaving the listener feeling informed, capable, and ready to act. But here's the thing, and this is the part I really need you to hear. Even if Aptera comes in 20 or 30% below those original efficiency claims, it would still be the most efficient car you can buy anywhere in the world. Let that sink in. Even in a scenario where everything doesn't go perfectly according to the original numbers, we'd still be looking at something like 7 miles per kilowatt hour. Right now, the most efficient vehicles on the market, things like the Model 3 Long Range or the Lucid Air, are getting somewhere around 5 miles per kilowatt hour on a good day. They rarely hit 6, so 7 would still be a category of its own. It would still be record-setting. It would still be genuinely unlike anything else on the road.
When stating the solar piece, which honestly doesn't get talked about enough, every other electric vehicle on the market, every single one, gets exactly 0 free miles from the sun when it's sitting in a parking lot. 0. Zip. Nothing at all. Your Tesla, your Rivian, your Ioniq, your Bolt, they all just sit there and wait for you to plug them in. Meanwhile, even a version of Aptera that underperforms its solar projections could still realistically be adding 20 free miles of range to your battery every single day just from sunlight alone. Think about what that actually means over time. 20 miles a day becomes over 100 miles a week of completely free driving. Over a month, that's 400 miles you never paid for. That's not a rounding error. That's a fundamentally different ownership experience than anything else available today.
When stating numbers, timings, reps, calories, minutes, heart rate zones, or scientific facts, emphasize them with measured enthusiasm and confidence. Add a slight dramatic buildup before critical insights, strategies, or results, then deliver them clearly and decisively. Keep the voice deep, warm, and reassuring, projecting authority and experience without sounding aggressive. Avoid shouting or over-motivational cliches. The excitement should feel earned, like one fitness enthusiast explaining what actually works to another. End key sections with a confident, motivating close, leaving the listener feeling informed, capable, and ready to act. I also want to be honest about something personal here, because it's part of why I've been thinking so much about this. I currently drive a Tesla, and I've loved it for a lot of reasons. The software is excellent. The supercharger network is genuinely the best charging infrastructure in the country. The performance is real. But if I'm being completely honest with myself, I've grown increasingly tired of what comes along with driving that car. I can't count the number of times I've walked back to my car in a parking lot and found some kind of bumper sticker or note related to the politics around the brand. I've had conversations that started as questions about the car and turned into debates about things I have nothing to do with. That's exhausting. It's not what I signed up for when I bought the car. I just wanted an efficient, well-made electric vehicle. The brand baggage has become real, and I know I'm not the only one who feels this way.
When steady, controlled pace, as if guiding someone through an important fitness breakthrough. When stating numbers, Timings, reps, calories, minutes, heart rate zones, or scientific facts emphasize them with measured enthusiasm and confidence. Add a slight dramatic buildup before critical insights, strategies, or results, then deliver them clearly and decisively. Keep the voice deep, warm, and reassuring, projecting authority and experience without sounding aggressive. Avoid shouting or over-motivational cliches. The excitement should feel earned, like one fitness enthusiast explaining what actually works to another. End key sections with a confident, motivating close, leaving the listener feeling informed, capable, and ready to act. What I love about the idea of Aptera, beyond the engineering, is the kind of conversations it invites. When people come up to you and ask about a vehicle that looks like nothing else on the road, the answers you get to give them are actually interesting and worth having. You get to explain that it looks the way it does because aerodynamics are one of the single biggest factors in vehicle efficiency. You get to explain that the lower the drag, the less energy you spend moving the car through the air and the more range you get from the same battery. And then you get to drop the fact that yes, it actually charges itself from sunlight and watch their reaction. Those conversations are worth having. That is the kind of attention I want to attract. Education, curiosity, genuine wonder at what's possible when someone cares more about physics than marketing.
When stating charging costs on the road, Aptera has a compelling answer there too. One of the complaints about non-Tesla electric vehicles is that when you're on a road trip and you have to use public charging infrastructure, you typically pay more per kilowatt hour than Tesla owners pay on the supercharger network. That's a real disadvantage for most EVs. But the math changes completely for Aptera. Because the car is so extraordinarily efficient, even paying a premium rate per kilowatt hour still ends up costing you less than it would to charge a less efficient car at a cheaper rate. The efficiency advantage is so large that it overrides the pricing disadvantage. That's a powerful position to be in. So where does this all leave us? Aptera is publicly traded now. Their funding mechanism is in place and active. Their production is transitioning from hand-built prototypes to an actual assembly line. Their chassis are being shipped. Their body and carbon production is coming home. Validation builds are on the horizon. Real-world data on efficiency and range is closer than it has ever been. And a company that has spent years being dismissed as vaporware is quietly, methodically doing the work to prove everyone wrong.
When stating numbers, timings, reps, calories, minutes, heart rate zones, or scientific facts, emphasize them with measured enthusiasm and confidence. I'm not here to tell you what to do with your money. I don't own Aptera stock, and I'm not going to pretend to be a stock analyst. But I will tell you this much. If you care about energy efficiency, about solar charging, about the idea that a car can be beautiful and weird and radically different for all the right reasons, then this is still one of the most exciting stories in the entire electric vehicle industry. A range of anything above 300 miles from a 40 kilowatt-hour battery pack would be extraordinary by any standard. Lower weight, lower maintenance costs, lower cost of ownership, and the ability to add free miles from the sun every single day. That combination doesn't exist anywhere else right now. Whatever number they land on when those validation vehicles finally get properly tested, I genuinely believe this company is building something worth watching. And I'll be right here, keeping you updated every step of the way.